My name is Ryan Tanner. I'm doing my author discussion on Booker T. Washington, who was born in 1856 and died in 1915. He was one of the most influential African American leaders in the post-Civil War era. In this presentation, we will review his leadership, life, beliefs, and accomplishments. Washington gave an address at the Cotton States Exposition, which gained him national spotlight and identified him as a leader in the African American community. His view in the speech was toned more with compromise, as he aimed to have African Americans respect Euro-Americans' wants for social separation, and Euro-Americans respect African Americans' want for better economic opportunities. He led by example, as his autobiography showed how education, self-reliance, and solidarity could improve your situation. Booker T. Washington was the first African American to be invited to the White House by President Roosevelt. And he was used as an advisor for both President Roosevelt and President Taft. He also engaged with President Cleveland after his speech at the exposition. Washington was born in Franklin County, Virginia, which is now located in what we know as West Virginia. He describes his birthplace in his book, Up From Slavery, as the most miserable, desolate, and discouraging surroundings, which are attributed to the work that he would have to do to eventually become a strong leader and public figure. He was raised by his mother, Jane, and did not know his white father. Early in life, Booker T. Washington worked at a salt furnace as well as a coal mine in Malden, West Virginia. This occurred after Washington and his mother, as well as his three siblings, moved to Malden after the Civil War had ended. They made this treacherous trek to meet up with Washington's stepfather, who had already secured a job at the salt furnace. Early in his life, Washington did not have access to an education. In fact, his first book knowledge was from the salt furnace, where he learned numbers from salt packers, as his stepfather's number was 18. He wrote in Up From Slavery, "If I accomplished nothing else in life, I would in some way get enough education to enable me to read common books and newspapers." He envied a man from Ohio that came to his community and knew how to read. This man would read the newspaper to groups that were wanting to hear the news. Washington struggled to attend school that came to the Kanawha Valley, as it often conflicted with work. Later in his life, driven by the same desire for education, he made a 500-mile trek to attend the Hampton Institute. In 1875, he graduated with honors. Booker T. Washington got permission from the Alabama legislature to found the Tuskegee, Normal, and Industrial Institute, which opened on July 4th, 1881. He was the head of the institution and used it as a platform for his belief in African American education and socioeconomic progress. Washington's belief of progress is quoted as industrial education, accommodation of Southern white supremacy, and the emphasis on racial pride, solidarity, and self-help. The school is a focal point in his life till the day he died, and remembered as one of his greatest achievements. Up From Slavery was an autobiography of Booker T. Washington. The tone of the book set forth myths of him being the Moses of his people, as described in the Norton Anthology of African Literature. The book was translated into many languages, which showed how well received it was around the world. The book outlined the necessity of self-help in the African American community and was received to many as a guide to a better future, as well as possibly their last hope at making this come true. Much of the book shares his beliefs on how change should occur and what the community can do as a whole to bring about this change. The book teachings are aligned with his teachings at Tuskegee, Normal, and Industrial Institution. The autobiography stands today as one of the greatest literary pieces of American history, and as an example of exceptional leadership in a very troubling time. My references for this author discussion on Booker T. Washington is biography.com, Booker T. Washington, the Norton Anthology of African American Literature, 3rd edition, Volume 1. I really enjoyed researching Booker T. Washington, as he is an inspirational leader in an extremely troubling time. And I think that we can all learn from his teachings as well as his publishings about how to move forward in the future as times are still troubling as they were then. Thank you.